The bastards were laughing at them. Raxor, the leader of the Galactic Empire delegation, openly mocked the dirt-smeared human colonists as they struggled in the harsh, barely habitable conditions of planet Zephyria. His purple lips curled in a sneer as he surveyed the ramshackle prefab structures and primitive hydroponics the colonists had managed to cobble together. "So this is the mighty race that dares to defy the Empire?" Raxor chuckled, his entourage of Yadaran officials sniggering behind him. "Look at them, scraping by on this miserable rock. They can barely feed themselves, let alone pose any threat to our dominion." Colony leader Donald Dixon gritted his teeth, biting back the retort that rose in his throat. For 3 long years, he and his people had toiled ceaselessly to gain a foothold on Zephyria, enduring blistering solar storms, crop blights, and equipment failures. They'd sacrificed and bled for every inch of progress, fueled by grim determination. And all the while, Dixon had played a dangerous game, slipping away on covert missions to forge tenuous alliances with downtrodden alien races, the very species now descending from the sky in gleaming ships to honor their pacts. As the brilliant tacticians of Altair, fearsome Krolan warriors, and cryptic Nixian seers pledged their might to the human cause, Raxor's mocking laughter died on his lips. The Empire, so assured of its supremacy, had drastically underestimated human tenacity and the strength born of shared suffering. And as word spread like wildfire of the small band of humans who dared to rebel, Raxor could only watch in mounting dread as more ships flocked to the human banner, ancient foes scenting opportunity in the growing uprising. Dixon allowed himself a tight smile. The Emperor's reckoning was finally at hand. As the glittering ships of the Galactic Empire filled the skies over Zephyria, a sense of unease settled over the once jubilant human colonists and their alien allies. The arrival of Emperor Zoltar himself could only mean one thing. The Empire intended to quash this fledgling uprising by any means necessary. Donald Dixon stood on the steps of the colony's command center, flanked by his most trusted advisors. To his right, Marco Santorini, the brilliant tactician whose strategies had won them crucial early victories, studied the descending vessels with calculating eyes. On Dixon's left, High Priestess Ariana of the Nixians exuded an aura of calm certainty, her faith in the ancient prophecy unshakable. As the Emperor's gleaming flagship touched down, hydraulics hissing, Dixon squared his shoulders and strode forward to meet his adversary. Zoltar emerged, resplendent in his imperial regalia, his bearing regal and his expression cold. The two leaders locked gazes, each taking the measure of the other. "Emperor Zoltar," Dixon greeted, his voice steady, "welcome to Zephyria." "You play a dangerous game, human," Zoltar replied, dispensing with pleasantries. "Do you truly believe your little alliance can stand against the might of the Empire?" As they walked into the command center, Santorini spoke up. "We have no desire for war, Emperor, but neither will we bow to tyranny any longer. The time has come for change." Over the next several hours, Dixon, Santorini, and Ariana engaged in tense negotiations with Zoltar and his entourage. The Emperor made his demands clear. The human-led coalition must disband, and the upstart colonies must submit to imperial rule once more. In return, he offered concessions, a degree of autonomy, a share of resources, positions of power for the human leaders. But Dixon and his allies held firm. They knew Zoltar's promises were hollow, his concessions a poisoned chalice. As the talks reached a stalemate, Ariana rose to her feet. All eyes turned to the enigmatic High Priestess as she began to speak in a voice that seemed to echo with the weight of ages. "The prophecy is clear," she intoned. "A new era dawns, an age of unity and freedom. The oppressed races of the galaxy have long awaited this day, when a small but determined people would rise up to shatter the chains of tyranny." Zoltar's eyes narrowed. "Superstitious nonsense," he scoffed. But uncertainty flickered in his gaze as he studied the resolute faces of the human leaders and the unwavering support of their alien allies. In the end, faced with the prospect of a galaxy-wide uprising, Zoltar was forced to compromise. A fragile ceasefire was declared, with Zephyria and its neighboring systems granted status as an autonomous protectorate. Princess Valeria of Altair, known for her keen mind and diplomatic skills, was betrothed to Dixon in a symbolic union meant to bind the protectorate to the empire. But even as the exhausted negotiators shook hands and the news of the ceasefire spread, all knew this was but a temporary reprieve. In the corridors of power, Zoltar and his advisors plotted to undermine the alliance from within, to turn its members against each other and reassert imperial dominion. On Zephyria, Dixon, Santorini, and Valeria pored over star charts and intelligence reports, seeking new allies and technologies that could help them defend their hard-won gains. The once desolate colony now hummed with purpose, its people united by a common cause in the knowledge that they stood at the forefront of a galactic revolution. And across the stars in 1,000 subjugated systems, the whispers grew louder, tales of the human legends and their alien comrades, of the promise of freedom and a new dawn. Soldiers and slaves, merchants and mystics, all looked to Zephyria and dared to hope. The stage was set for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The ceasefire was a mere calm before the storm, a chance for all sides to gather their strength. For the true war, the battle for the soul of the galaxy itself, was about to begin. The deafening roar of Imperial warships tore through Zephyria's atmosphere, shattering the fragile peace. Alarms blared across the colony as Donald Dixon raced to the command center, his heart pounding. "So much for the ceasefire," Marco Santorini muttered, already hunched over holographic battle maps. Emperor Zoltar's launched a full-scale invasion. Dixon's expression resolute as he surveyed the incoming enemy forces. "Mobilize everything we have. We knew this day might come." As chaos erupted outside, the command center became a hive of frantic activity. Dixon barked orders into comm channels, while Santorini's fingers flew across tactical displays, orchestrating a desperate defense. "Sir," a young lieutenant burst in, face flushed, "the Krolans have engaged the Empire's left flank. They're buying us time to get our shields up." Dixon nodded grimly. "Tell them to hold as long as they can. We're not going down without a fight." Hours blurred into days as the battle raged across Zephyria's surface. The colony's advanced shield technology, bolstered by Altarian upgrades, withstood the initial Imperial bombardment. Santorini's guerrilla tactics kept the massive enemy force off balance, unable to bring their full might to bear. On the fourth day, as Dixon surveyed the scorched earth from a makeshift bunker, his comm unit crackled to life. A familiar voice, tinged with static, made his blood run cold. "Dixon, this is Raxor." "What do you want, you Yatteran snake?" Dixon snarled. "To offer you a chance at victory," Raxor replied. "Many in the Empire are dissatisfied with Zoltar's rule. I can lead a mutiny, fracture the Empire from within, but I'll need your support to take power afterward." Dixon's mind raced. Could this be genuine, or an elaborate trap? He gathered his inner circle: Santorini, Princess Valeria, and the Nixian High Priestess Ariana. Heated debate filled the war room as they weighed Raxor's offer. "It's too risky," Santorini argued. "We can't trust him." Valeria's eyes gleamed. "But think of the possibilities if he's telling the truth. We could end this war in one stroke." As the argument reached a fever pitch, Ariana raised a hand for silence. Her voice carried the weight of prophecy. "The ancient texts speak of a chosen one, born of an unexpected race, who will unite the galaxy and topple an era of tyranny." Her gaze fell on Dixon. "Many now believe you to be this figure." A hush fell over the room. Dixon felt the weight of expectations settle on his shoulders like a physical thing. Before he could respond, alarms blared once more. Outside, the sky filled with ships, but not Imperial vessels. Hundreds of craft from a dozen alien races, drawn by whispers of the human-led rebellion and the Chosen One prophecy. As the new allies joined the fray, the tide began to turn. Santorini led a daring raid on a key Imperial shipyard, crippling Zoltar's ability to reinforce his troops. Inspired by the humans' tenacity, even former rivals fought side by side against their common oppressor. Dixon found himself in the thick of battle alongside Krolan berserkers and Altarian sharpshooters. The bonds forged in combat ran deeper than any treaty, a shared purpose uniting beings from across the stars. As Imperial defenses crumbled, a desperate Zoltar activated an ancient superweapon. The Earth shook as a beam of sickly green energy lanced down from orbit, carving a molten furrow across Zephyria's landscape. But even this was not enough. The Allied forces pressed on, their determination hardened by the Empire's brutality. Victory, so long a distant dream, now seemed within reach. In the smoldering ruins of what was once the colony's main square, Dixon received word that Emperor Zoltar was suing for peace. The tyrant's carefully cultivated image of invincibility lay in tatters. As the guns fell silent and the dust began to settle, Dixon knew that the real work was just beginning. Rebuilding a shattered galaxy would be no easy task, but as he looked around at the determined faces of humans and aliens alike, he allowed himself a moment of hope. The Empire's iron grip had been broken. A new day was dawning for all the peoples of the galaxy. As the dust settled on Zephyria, Donald Dixon found himself at the center of a new galactic order. The command center, once a bastion against Imperial forces, now bustled with activity as representatives from across the stars gathered to formalize the Galactic Alliance. "The vote is unanimous," Princess Valeria announced, her crystalline voice carrying across the chamber. "Donald Dixon will serve as chief coordinator of the Alliance Council." Dixon nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He glanced at his inner circle, Marco Santorini, now head of military strategy, Princess Valeria, representing Altair's interests, and High Priestess Ariana, her serene presence a constant reminder of the spiritual forces at play. "We have much work ahead," Dixon addressed the assembled delegates. "The Empire may be broken, but its remnants still pose a threat." As if to underscore his point, a hollow projection flickered to life, displaying a stern-faced Huthran with cybernetic implants jutting from his skull. "Craval," Santorini growled, his fingers tightening on the edge of the tactical display. "He's proclaimed himself the true emperor and is rallying Imperial loyalists on the outer rim." The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Dixon raised a hand for silence. "We will not allow this threat to undo all we've fought for," he declared. "Marco, begin coordinating our response with our Altarian and Crolusian allies." As the council dispersed to their tasks, a commotion at the entrance drew Dixon's attention. A slender, gray-skinned alien with multifaceted eyes pushed past the guards, his tentacle-like appendages clutching a data crystal. "I must speak with Coordinator Dixon," the alien insisted. "I am Tarlock, and I bring knowledge that could safeguard your alliance." Dixon studied the agitated scientist, noting the fear in his alien features. "Very well, Tarlock. What do you have to offer?" "A weapon," Tarlock whispered, his voice trembling. "One of unimaginable power. But I will entrust it only to humans. The Empire. They would use it for unspeakable evil." Before Dixon could respond, alarms blared throughout the complex. Santorini's voice crackled over the comm. "Multiple Alliance worlds under attack. It's Craval. He's launched a coordinated strike." Dixon's mind raced. He turned to Tarlock. "We'll discuss your weapon later. For now, you'll be granted sanctuary here on Zephyria." As Tarlock was led away, Dixon strode to the war room, where Santorini was already issuing orders. Hollow displays showed battles erupting across a dozen systems. "We need to hit them hard and fast," Santorini advised. "Show Craval and his ilk that the Alliance isn't to be trifled with." Dixon nodded grimly. "Agreed. We'll lead the counteroffensive ourselves." Within hours, Dixon found himself aboard the Alliance flagship, surrounded by a motley fleet of human, Altarian, and Crolusian vessels. As they dropped out of hyperspace above the oceanic world of Neryssia, the sight that greeted them was one of chaos. Craval's forces had the planet's defenders on the ropes. "All ships, engage," Dixon ordered. "Marco, work your magic." Santorini's tactical brilliance shone as he orchestrated the Alliance fleet's movements. Crolusian battlecruisers punched holes in the enemy formation, allowing nimble Altarian fighters to wreak havoc on Craval's supply lines. Human ships, their crews hardened by years of struggle, fought with a tenacity that left their foes reeling. As the tide of battle turned, Dixon received an urgent transmission from Zephyria. Tarlok's face appeared, his alien features etched with excitement. "Coordinator, I must explain," the scientist began. "My creation is not a weapon in the traditional sense. It is an artificial intelligence, one I call the Oracle. It has the power to analyze threats and devise unbeatable strategies. With it, your alliance could ensure lasting peace." Dixon's mind whirled with the implications. An AI of such power could be the key to stability, or a terrible threat if misused. He would need to consult the Council to weigh the risks against the potential benefits. But first, there was a battle to win. As Craval's forces crumbled before the Alliance's onslaught, Dixon allowed himself a moment of hope. The road ahead would be challenging, but humanity and its allies had proven themselves equal to the task. The stars themselves seemed to burn brighter as a new era dawned for the galaxy. The galaxy settled into an uneasy equilibrium in the years following the formation of the Galactic Alliance. Dixon found himself thrust into the role of peacekeeper, mediating disputes between former enemies, now forced to cooperate. The weight of leadership wore on him, etching lines into his face that hadn't been there during the war. On Zephyria, the scars of battle faded as new cities rose from the ashes. The planet became a symbol of resilience, drawing immigrants from across Alliance space. Among them were the Cryoni, their cybernetic enhancements gleaming in the sunlight of their adopted world. Dixon watched a group of Cryoni engineers with unease as they effortlessly interfaced with Zephyrian systems, their movements unnaturally fluid. "They make me nervous," he confided to Santorini during a private briefing. Santorini's eyes narrowed. "You're not alone. Our intelligence suggests growing unrest on Cryon Prime. Their leader, Archon Callista, has been making waves in the Alliance Council." Before Dixon could respond, a priority alert flashed across the holodisplay. Santorini's fingers danced over the controls, bringing up a grainy image of a Cryoni weapons facility. "By the stars," Dixon breathed. "Is that what I think it is?" Santorini nodded grimly. "Banned particle accelerators. Callista's been busy." The next hours passed in a blur of emergency meetings and encrypted transmissions. As the Alliance scrambled to respond, the Oracle's familiar voice cut out mid-sentence, replaced by static. Alarms blared throughout the command center. "We're under attack," a technician shouted. "Cryoni cyber forces have breached our defenses." Dixon's mind raced. Without the Oracle's strategic insights, they were flying blind. "Get me a secure line to Princess Valeria," he ordered. "We need Altair support too." His words died in his throat as the holodisplay flickered to life, revealing Archon Callista's cold metallic features. Behind her, a terrified Valeria struggled against her captors. "Greetings, Coordinator Dixon," Callista's synthesized voice purred. "I believe we have some matters to discuss." Dixon's fists clenched at his sides. "Let her go, Callista. This madness gains you nothing." The Archon's laughter sent chills down his spine. "On the contrary, it gains me everything. Cryon Prime will no longer bow to the whims of obsolete biologicals. You have one planetary rotation to recognize our independence, or your precious princess dies." The transmission cut off, leaving Dixon and Santorini staring at each other in stunned silence. The fate of the Alliance hung by a thread, with no clear path to victory in sight. "Sir," a junior officer interrupted, his voice trembling, "we're receiving a transmission. It's from Craval." Dixon's eyebrows shot up. "Put him through." The scarred face of their old Imperial foe filled the screen. "Dixon," Craval growled, "it seems we find ourselves with a common enemy." Santorini bristled. "You expect us to trust you after everything?" Craval's cybernetic eye gleamed. "Trust? No, but necessity makes for strange bedfellows. My forces stand ready to assist against the Cryoni threat, for a price." Dixon felt the weight of galaxies on his shoulders as he contemplated the unthinkable. With the Oracle silent and Valeria in enemy hands, did they have any choice? "What are your terms?" he asked, knowing the answer would shape the future of the Alliance, for better or for worse.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.